Hello, everybody. I'm Carlos Amezcua, and welcome to the Carlos and Lisa Show. This is a live component on Beyond TV. Welcome to our live component. We call it the live component because we get to engage you, and we're speaking of being very engaging. We've invited Dr. G of the show, Dr. G Engaging Minds on Beyond TV, to join us today. He is a clinical psychologist who's based here in Los Angeles. We've talked to Dr. G many times on the Carlos and Lisa Show, and it's been a while. Dr. G, welcome. Nice to have you with us.
It's great to be here, Carlos. Yeah, it's been a while, and let's make sure that doesn't happen again, because you know what? There's so much to talk about.
Well, you know, we had this little thing called the pandemic, which kind of stifled our conversations as we had live in our studio. We had to move out of our studio, and we had to do this, which is kind of become the way of life for so many business people, so many professionals who have to interact with people. They do meetings, they do work all day long in front of their computers and their laptops like we're doing right now. What effect do you think that's had on folks at home?
You know, I've thought about this situation a lot, and I think it has to do with what our relationship is with technology and what it's become. You know, because we're doing so much on Zoom, some people have been able to embrace it and make technology their friend and have figured out how to work with it. And other people have a hard time with it, and it's sort of done the opposite experience. It's become their enemy. So a lot of times it's like having a friend. You know, it depends what kind of relationship you've embraced and whether you've accepted the reality that technology, telehealth, these kind of Zoom meetings, they're going to be with us probably the rest of our professional life. So we have to find a way to integrate it in our life and find a way to make it our own and make it a good experience, because I don't think it's going anywhere. So again, it depends on the person, to answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I have found, and this is just me talking, and that is that because we have the facility to do this technologically, we're working more, and some of us are experiencing a little bit of burnout, like job burnout, but we're not at work. We're actually at home, and we're burning out on our jobs at home. Tell me if you've talked to people about this.
Oh, all the time. You know what? I've had that experience. I also work at home a lot. A lot of my patients are still on Zoom. So I'm kind of doing a hybrid between going into the office and seeing people at home. So one of the things that's helped me a lot is I've created some strong boundaries for myself when it comes to work and burnout. I have to remember, just because I go into my office at home, that is just like going into an office at work. I'm there 2 hours. I have to take a break and I have to go do something else, like I would if I was at work. So, I have to be able to keep those boundaries really strong. And a lot of times when you're at home and you're working at home, it's hard to do that. So for me, at least, self-care has been a big part of it. I'll leave my house and go for a walk. I'll do something to change the energy, the stuff I used to do in the office. So, again, that's such an important part of it, is how are you going to deal with this reality of, that we can easily burn out, because it seems like when we're at home, those boundaries are not as strong.
There are basically no boundaries.
Exactly.
People, all we
Because
do is
anyone
work.
could walk in at any time. Your spouse
Yeah, like today, I said,
walks
what
in
day
and
is
goes
it?
like,
I didn't
"Hey,
even
can I?"
know what. Yeah, I didn't even know what day it was, Howard. I mean, this is the thing, is you just think about just how consumed we are with the day-to-day work. I get up, first thing I do is check my phone, see what messages I've gotten, any emails, and then I get cleaned up for the day, as it were, and go right back to the
And then you
computer
go to the
and go
room
through
next
that.
door.
Yeah. And so the thing that you're doing now on Dr. G Engaging Minds, it's such a great show, and I love Beyond
I
TV's
appreciate that.
partnership with you on this, and that gives us an opportunity to see you as you really are and what the things that you like to talk about. But your walk to work thing that you're doing every day, you're showing us how what you think about, what you're thinking about, and what the next step is going to be, and you give us some insight into your soul and into your psyche. Tell me what that does for you and what that would possibly do to us if we were just to get up and walk out right now.
It's been such a great experience. So this is no accident. I set up my office where it's about 2 miles away from my home and I can actually walk there, which is an interesting experience in LA because most of the time I'm the only one on the street. And it's become this walking meditation. I used to walk to, I walk to work and all this stuff would be going through my head, ruminating about the day. What do I have to do? What I'm upset about, what I'm obsessing about. And then I thought, I really need to just take a break and look at the things around me and be able to see something different every day. It sounds a little corny, but it made such a big difference. And I thought that I wanted to be able to share that experience with other people because, Carlos, I'm just like everyone else. The alarm goes off. The first thing I do is I grab my phone and I actually start checking email. And then I'll say to myself, okay, stop checking email. You're not even up yet.
Yeah.
You really, it's just too easy with devices. So my routine now has been unless there's an emergency with a patient, I put my stuff on. I go in my backpack. I bring my stuff to work, and I literally try to just look around that day to see what inspires me, what will feel different. And I actually take the same walk to work, but it's amazing that when I just take a deep breath and I look around, I see something different. And it inspires me. And I like to share that inspiration with people because that's how I try to keep the day new. Even though on the outside it looks the same, I've noticed that, if I just focus on something like fun or interesting, and then again, it has to be interesting to me. And I know if it's interesting to me, I'll be more enthusiastic and share it with other people. So that's what I mean about staying inspired is looking at the same stuff we think we're looking at all the time, but looking at it in a different way.
That's really creative thinking. Now, tell me, Dr. G. I'm going to call you Dr. G and Howard interchangeably because we know each other and we're
That's
friends
all
and
good. I'll call
colleagues
you
on Beyond TV.
Carlos and Dr. Carlos.
Dr. Carlos, not really. Uh, you said
Right.
something about setting boundaries and borders and routine. What are you talking about as far as boundaries are concerned? Like, is it hourly boundaries, or is it boundaries with your family? Is it boundaries within yourself? Tell me about that a little bit.
I think it's boundaries with all of the above because sometimes when we're at work and we have issues with a spouse or a spouse wants to, or whoever it is, a family member wants to talk to us, it may not be the time to be able to deal with that. So to find a appropriate way to say to them, you know what, I'm going to talk to you. I'll talk to you after work. I have to be able to focus on work right now. If we feel we have to be available to everybody to this in the same amount of with the same amount of energy all the time, we're going to burn ourselves out by the end of the day. So it's important to be able to find a way to set those internal boundaries and know what is my focus at that moment. What do I really need to deal with? How can I communicate that and then let somebody know I'm not abandoning them, but I will deal with them, but I just can't deal with them in this moment. So I think
That's
it's
tough.
important to
That's
be
tough.
able to
That's
do
tough
that
for
and
people
not
with.
feel guilty about it.
Well, but it's tough with people with kids because they do feel guilty because they're not paying attention to their children. Some people feel guilty when they don't pay attention to their pets, who are clamoring
Right.
to get into the room or to get into your lap or whatever when you're trying to do things. But these are the new kinds of things that we're dealing with, and what I'm concerned about is that we're not setting boundaries. Number one, we're not keeping our own rules, and we're in fact burning out and creating a whole new generation of people who have mental health issues because they haven't done the things they need to take care of themselves, and that includes weight gain and bad eating and all the things that go along with being sedentary in your house and never really leaving the room.
One of the things I learned in shrink school, one of the first things I learned was this concept of self care. And that was a tough one for me. Growing up as this Jewish kid, I always felt guilty about everything. So to be able to deal with the the guilt of taking care of myself, it made me feel selfish that I wasn't taking care of other people right when they wanted it. But what I learned through experience, what we were taught in school is You're only as good as you are, sort of in the way that you take care of yourself, that you can't be available to patients, to spouses, to your kids if you're burned out. So that becomes primary. And if you say that to yourself, what do I need to do to take care of myself? I need to get a certain amount of sleep. I need to talk to the people that I want to talk to. I need to get the support I need. I need to feel inspired. Then I'm going to be twice as effective with the people around me. So if you explain that to people, a lot of times you'd be surprised, they'll be a lot more forgiving, because I think what people want more than anything is they want to know that you care about them and that you'll be there to support them. And if you can explain to them, I just may not be there to support you exactly at the moment that you want, but I will be there, and I will be there in a way that will be even better than you expected.
I think it's interesting that you would say that self-care is selfish. And, I grew up a Catholic, and so I have Catholic guilt. So you have Jewish guilt, I have Catholic guilt, it's still guilt. And that is that
Yeah, mine was
we
all
would
about guilt
feel,
about my mother. I would be doing her harm.
yeah. Oh my goodness. No wonder we need you. This is the thing. This is the reason
Yeah,
we need Dr. G. Yes. So the,
we won't
the thing
talk
about
about
all
the
of this is
therapy
that
I had to do to get through that. But anyway,
I know. Let's figure that out. So, I mean, what if you were to say, if you were to give us like one really good tip on how to kind of organize ourselves and get ourselves somewhat on the right path to not burn out at what we're doing, especially if we're not going to work, if we're still staying at home, what would that one tip be?
be true to yourself. Figure out who you are. And that is not a finite process. That's something that's constantly evolving and changing. And it should evolve and change. But at the core, figure out what you really need, what is true. Like some people will say, I only need 6 hours sleep. Some people will say, I need 8 hours sleep. That's their truth. But if you need 8 hours sleep, try to get those 8 hours sleep. Try to be true to what you really need. Do you need to socialize with a certain amount of people? So go to that core, and feel those feelings, because, Carlos, our head is going to try to trick us. We're going to rationalize things. It's going to tell us a lot of times things that, it'll minimize our experiences. But the real truth is in our feelings and our emotions. And to be able to be true to them, and from that core, use it as a base to make the decisions you need to make throughout the day. So that's the advice I'd give to people, is make sure the life you're living is your life, not somebody else's life they want for you.
Dr. Howard Gluss, as always. Dr. G, Engaging Minds is a show on Beyond TV. We love talking with you. This has been great, very informative, and being live on Beyond TV with you has been a pleasure. Thanks so much for all the great advice.
Thanks,
I wish
Carlos.
you the best.
It's always great.
You can catch Dr. G on Beyond TV all the time on demand, also on the Roku app and on Amazon Fire. For now, this is Carlos Amezcua saying so long. We'll see you next time.
Take care, Carlos.
Thank you.